Bonsoir, messieurs et mademoiselles. Bienvenue sur Afrique Today, dans votre émission L'équipe du dimanche, présentée par Coach Ofo. Une émission que vous verrez tous les dimanches à partir de 4 heures. Ce soir, nous avons l'aimabilité de vous présenter le icône du football américain, le premier noir entraîneur du football américain du nom de Lincoln Phillips. Ce nom est un nom, un idole, un nom de toute capacité, un des premiers noirs qui a amené le football dans l'université aux États-Unis. Il a été le premier gardien de le Trinidad Tobago. Il a entraîné à Howard University. Il a gagné des trophées. Et ce soir, nous avons la chance de l'avoir dans notre studio. Mr. Lincoln Phillips, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm very fine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me on your show, Afrique Today.
Yeah.
And to all your listeners outside there, I hope you enjoy the show.
Ouais. Bon, monsieur, madame, nous avons monsieur le Lincoln Phillips, l'un des premiers noirs africains, caribéens, qui représente l'Afrique, qui a entraîné, qui a fait son tampon dans ce pays depuis 1971. Je vais parler, vous donner un petit peu de sa biographie. Monsieur Lincoln Phillips est né le 4 juillet 1941 à Trinidad Tobago. Un ancien joueur qui a débuté toute sa carrière au cours élémentaire jusqu'à monter chez les juniors, où il devient le premier noir de Trinidad Tobago qui a été entraîneur à Howard University dans les années 71, qui est le premier à gagner le titre du champion de NWC dans le cas de DC. Ce soir, nous avons l'aimabilité d'avoir dans notre studio sur Afrique Today, dans l'émission de l'équipe du dimanche qui est présentée par Coach Fofo, notre icône qui est là ce soir, qui va nous parler de son expérience, de tout ce qu'il a vu, de la ségrégation jusqu'à aujourd'hui, comment le football a changé aux États-Unis, ce qu'il a apporté au football. Et vous allez être surpris, il a écrit beaucoup de livres. Regardez, en attendant, un petit message sur lui.
The man who heads Howard University as the head coach, Coach Lincoln Phillips, and he's considered a genius of a coach with an outstanding record. You've brought many teams from Howard up here. What do you think of the chances of this team today?
Call me Coach. Coach. The word still makes my head tingle with pride. Any title that designates a heightened level of respect and achievement would do the same. Doctor, ambassador, senator, governor, captain. But to me, coach surpasses them all. It is a coach who helps people become their best. A coach's mentor, friend, disciplinarian, taskmaster, therapist, and confidant.
I think our chances are very good. We are very confident. We have good players. We have players to suit the conditions, and I have no excuses whatsoever. I think we'll put it all.
Coach is a brother, sister, father, mother, and educator. Coach is someone who shapes and influences lives, for better or for worse. It is an awesome responsibility, and I've cherished it from the moment I was first chosen to lead. How did I find myself on such a path? I can only look to those who affected my life with selfless compassion and commitment of their time. It was my mentors who led me here, however unwitting that may have been. To help others, you must also learn to recognize and accept help when it is needed. The African philosophy of Ubuntu says, my humanity rests on my ability to recognize the humanity of others. Coaches help people fulfill their potential, and in doing so, they see themselves. I was once that little boy, juggling the ball on his boot. Times have changed. As I reflect upon my experiences, I sometimes wonder what will become of Coach in this culture of headphones and cell phone isolation. I know that there are good young coaches out there. I help produce some of them. And I'm sure that they will find a way to reach the next generation of players. The reward will be what my reward has always been. Just call me Coach.
Some say it's just a part of it. We got to fulfill the book. Won't you else the same? These songs of freedom, that's all I ever had. Redemption.
Merci, nos spectateurs. Merci pour cette entrevue de
Redemption song, songs of freedom, songs of freedom.
Merci, notre cher spectateur. Merci pour cette entrevue sur l'image et sur la personnalité de M. Lincoln Phillips, qu'on appelle le coach. Le coach, c'est un nom noble. C'est un nom vraiment qui apporte à chaque génération de se cibler, de donner quelque chose. Mr. Lincoln, it was a pleasure to have you with me this afternoon on this show. Please, can you present yourself to our public, please?
Thank you very much, Coach Rufu. It's again, it's a real pleasure and an honor to be on your show, to be with you. I have a lot of respect for you as a person and what you're doing in the community. And of course, when you asked me to come on the show, obviously I said you're asking answers. You know, I immediately decided to come on the show. So it's a pleasure. And as you know, as I mentioned, my name is Lincoln Phillips, and I was born in Trinidad and Tobago, played for Trinidad and Tobago national team, and had the fortune of playing on the Trinidad team and winning a bronze medal in Canada. And at that time, the United States was now starting their professional soccer. And I was scouted by the Baltimore Bays and came up to play in 1968. And from there, I was named the head coach at Washington Darts in Washington. And as mentioned, I was the first black coach to coach a professional team in the country. And our team was made up of mostly Caribbean and African players, and a few Scottish and English players. And I cut my teeth there on a professional level, which led me to Howard University. And that is where it all began for me, because at Howard University we started to win, and a lot of the universities in and around the area, they didn't think too kindly about this little black school beating up everybody, beating up Navy and University of Maryland and Georgetown and these schools. So when we won that championship in '71, you know, it immediately something was wrong. You know.
In the then one, I was very fascinated. I was young in 1971. I was very young, but when I came to this country and I have a chance to read your book, Rising Above and Beyond the Crossbar, and I read that book and I see what happened in 1971 as a black coach, and nobody believed you at that time. Nobody trusts you, and you take a team. Can you talk really? People want to know exactly what happened with Howard University in 1971. The NCW championship you win, and then they take it from you.
Well, we won the championship in '71, and the NCAA brought about 101 charges against us, 101 violations. I don't know where they got that from. And one of them was they said that we had professional players, and at that time there was no professional football in Trinidad or in Africa, Nigeria at the time. So they fished, and eventually two charges stuck. Most of our players did not have the SAT to come into university, and it was a tradition. We did not exempt anyone from not taking the SAT. We know that young players coming from Trinidad or from Africa, if they have an advanced standing in their certificate of education, those are your doctors, those are your lawyers. So the SAT is just to decide, what level of education you have. So we just, at the Howard University, never allow our students coming from Africa and Trinidad to take the SATs because we know that they are outstanding students. And that stuck. But the next year, they changed it.
That's what I was so surprised, because it was like you take my meal in my mouth and I didn't say anything, and then you take the risk behind everything and then go back and come back 1972. What happened in 1972?
Well, in 1972, we improved the 71 team by 60%.
Wow.
We went to Jamaica right after the 71 championship, and we went to Jamaica and we picked up 6 of the best Jamaican players. Okay? And so that team in 72 was improved over 60%. A team beat us we beat them 2-1 in 71. In 72, we beat them 15-2.
Oh.
The team was so good, so it was automatic that we were going to be the national champions for another year and beyond, because we had all these great players.
Exactly.
And so it is during that 72 season, they did their investigation, and when we got to the championship, they decided that 6 of our best players were not eligible.
Again.
And we had to play the semifinals and the quarterfinals and the semifinals without them. So we played St. Louis with a depleted team. But although they told us that they were not allowed to play, were ineligible, they were indeed eligible. We could have played them, So that was very vindictive, I thought. But so they found us, guilty or whatever, and they decided that the next year, 1973, they'll take the trophy away from us, 71 trophy, and we would be will not be allowed to play in the finals, in the NCAA finals,
Under 72,
because we were on 1 year's probation. Oh, that was the hardest year of soccer that I have ever coached in my life. Not knowing that you're not going to go to the finals, it was very, very difficult, And thank God during that time, I was able to get a friend from Africa. I went to Nigeria, and I selected the 6 of the best Nigerian soccer players and brought them back just in time for the 1974 season. Yeah.
And in 1974, it was a time who Mr. Lincoln Phillips, as we call a coach, be able to achieve the dream, who was resigned 1971 and 1972, and then come back in 3 and 4. What will happen? How University win from 72 to 74?
Well, in 74, under the quote, we had a quotation. Right, a truth crushed the earth shall rise again.
Exactly.
So that was the redemption song that you just heard played there. Truth crushed the earth shall rise again, and that kind of sparked us. We went into that season. We never ever even thought about losing. Nobody knew what we would have done if we had lost that game. It was just we had to win. And anytime the game got tough, fortunately for us, at no time during the season we have ever been behind. We've always been in front. And in the semi-final and the final were the only 2 games we were 1 goal behind. And you can hear the players saying, "Come on, guys, the truth," And with that, we went on to win the game. So the two games, and it was a great experience. I just can't tell you how I felt, but it was great to get back. And it's not just winning the game. It's how we won it. We took it back. Every single game we won, no tie, no loss, every single game, and that is a record that is still standing up to this day. No university has accomplished that record
until today.
Up till today.
Mr. Lincoln, they call you coach. Can you really tell us what is behind the name of coach? What coach mean for today and for yesterday past to the player?
Well, the coach, anytime you mention, a doctor, a governor, and a president, it brings out a certain level of respect.
Yes, exactly.
Yet when you say coach, that level drops. And I believe that a coach is equally as important as anybody,
exactly,
as any of those top professions. Doctors save lives, but coaches build lives. A coach, a good coach, that is a mentor. He's a brother, he's a sister, he's a psychologist. He's everything. He helps shape the minds of young people. And I am very fortunate that I've had fantastic coaches in my lifetime. I've had coaches who were mentors. I remember every moment. I can remember moments when they told me things that I was able to impart to some of my players. So I think it's very important that coaches understand that they're very important in developing the lives of young ones. It's very important that administrators understand the value of the coaches and treat coaches the way they should. Coaches are very, very important in the development of our young people.
And I do, and I have so much respect for you because I take a time to know you, and you come to me as a father and then brought me and show me the way, and I'm a coach also. But I see what we give it to the community and what you give it to us, what we are learning from you today to be above your willing and then take over. That's what we talking about. And I see people go and try to build a black coach on the DMV. Can you talk us a little bit about that kind of group, the next generation follow you, trying to put together to substance all the black coach in the DMV?
Well, it's very important. About 20 years ago, I decided to form a Black Coaches Association, and right now it is thriving and doing exceedingly well. And that's what we have to do. We have to, as people of color, we have to understand the game.
Exactly.
We have to understand the rules. We have many outstanding coaches who are not getting an opportunity to be on the national teams, to coach on the college level, to coach on the professional level. We have very outstanding boys and girls, men and women who are overlooked and not selected to play on the national teams. What we must do, we must not look at ourselves as victims. We must now rise above and beyond. We must now try to get into positions of decision-making positions, into managerial positions, into positions maybe owning a franchise. Okay, and only until we get into decision-making positions can we get some kind of equality. But we cannot just sit back and cry about we are discriminated against and people don't like us and so on. The rules are there in front of us. We have to work harder than everybody else. That's a given. So let's do it. But we must infiltrate. We must break that ceiling and get into decision-making positions.
Monsieur, mademoiselle, monsieur, oui, nous voici encore une fois. Bienvenue sur Afrique Today, où vous nous regardez tous les dimanches sur YouTube, sur notre site www.afriquetoday.com, sur Twitter, sur Instagram et Smart TV. Oui, ce soir, nous avons encore l'aimabilité d'avoir le icon. Ce qu'on appelle le icon, c'est quelqu'un qui a un nom qui dépasse tous les noms, qui est dans notre studio ce soir, dans le nom de Lincoln Philippe, qui est le premier noir, entraîneur, qui a entraîné dans l'histoire du football américain. Coach, I see something, you're not just a coach. I see you write 2 books. Your first book, it was a book about the goalkeeping.
Right.
And the second one, who come want to strive everything, and then we call today rising above and beyond the crossbar. This book, I read this book, and do not lie to you, this book changed my life, the way I see, the way I do, the way I carry. Can you talk about a little bit, where is this book in taking you, the journey this book is taking with you now?
Well, my son, my eldest son Sheldon, many years ago, told me that, Dad, you should write your autobiography. You should make a film of yourself, and he started it, and eventually he went to law school, and it stopped. And Trinidad and Tobago had just qualified for the World Cup in 2006. I was in a bus one day with a gentleman by the name of Valentino Singh. He had just written an autobiography of Jack Warner. And he said, Coach, when are we going to do yours? I said, well, he said, when we get back home, we're going to start it. And, lo and behold, when we got back home, he called me. And I wasn't too particular. But then he was very good, because he started taking me back into those days and so on. And I started getting excited. I get excited. And so he said, after a while, after about a month, of interviewing me, he said, Coach, this is not just a soccer book. He said, this is
your life.
Is history.
Yeah, this is your life.
This is history, and this is your life. And so eventually, I came to the United States, and another young man took the transcript, and he started to polish it. The transcript was about 600 pages, and he condensed it into 115 pages. He reduced it, and looking back into my life, I could see that that I was very lucky person. I was very lucky to have had my parents, my mother in particular. Whenever I lost, it was like the world was against me, and she gave me a prayer. The 121st Psalm, I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. And I've said that, to every team that I've coached. And any time I got dropped off a team, she would always say, look, son, you go and practice hard, and you're going to show them that they must pick you the next time. So from that I got from my parents, and my coaches were very outstanding and mentors to me, and so I trained harder, 10 times harder than everybody around me in my area and in my city, and eventually around 15 and 16 years, I just took off.
And I see in 2006, Trinidad was qualified for the World Cup, their first one.
Yes, first World Cup.
On 2000 in Germany. Yeah. And then you played a big role as a coaching director on that team. Can you leverage a little bit, what is your assumption, what you brought to that generation on 2018 World Cup? Who was the first one Trinidad was attended?
Well, first of all, we never qualified. We came close to qualifying for the World Cup. And Jack Warner called me and he said, Lincoln, we need somebody like you who is a local, but still you're a foreigner. You spent so many years away, and you're a winner. You won. And people will identify with you. And so I came back, I agreed to come back as a technical director. And the first thing that I did when I got back there is to develop a structure, of how to develop your teams, of vertical integration, all the top level teams, the national team, and there's a pathway develop a pathway of how to get from the grassroots to the national team, and also selecting the best possible coaches for the national team. So that is one of the biggest things that I did, and eventually I was responsible for bringing in Mr. And the coach from the I'm forgetting his name right now, Mr. I can't remember. Anyhow, the coach he came in from Holland.
It was a Dutch coach. It was a Dutch coach. It was a Dutch coach. I remember. It was a Dutch coach.
Yes.
I don't remember the name too, but I know he was a Dutch coach who took it through that too. We in America today, and then you play a big role on the American football, in the term of the black community, and it was something is impacting our community, and you know it, I know it. We have a talent. We have so many talent players on our community, but we call it something today, pay to play. Can you define how can we go around that pay to play to make America team successful for the next generation coming?
Well, you know, the youth sports is becoming is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and the way it is to play on any one of these top teams, of course, you have to pay a lot of money. If you have a kid and you want to play travel soccer, that's where the best players go and the best coaches. You have to pay anywhere in the vicinity of $5,000 to $10,000 for one child. Okay, if you have 2 or 3 children, you see what's happening. Now, I'm not talking about somebody who doesn't have a good job. I'm talking about a man and his wife having good jobs. It's very, very difficult for them to afford to do that. Okay, so as you go up the ladder, you have to pay out more and more money. So obviously, the low-income people will never get the opportunity to play. And as a result, the people who can afford it, not the best players, okay, those are the ones who go through these programs. And for instance, there's a program called the Development Academy. Right? The United States Football Federation will only select players come through the academy, and that's not right. That's not right at all. Okay, and those players below who don't have the money, who can't afford to play,
they let over.
But this now is going to affect the level of play on the national level, and you see it happening already. United States did not qualify for the last World Cup for the first time in quite a few World Cups, and the youth teams are not qualified too. You know, so until they wake up and find a method of trying to get the players who cannot afford, or which is mostly black and Hispanic players, then now if you look at the French team, World Cup team. And now the English World Cup team, they're just most of the players are black players. They understand that if they are to be competitive, and if they have to have a chance of winning a World Cup, they've got to have the best players, and they better be colorblind. So until we decide, until we become colorblind, then we're not going to do well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Lincoln Phillips. It was a very honor. Monsieur, madame, mesdames, messieurs, oui, nous tirons nous à la fin de cette émission, l'équipe du dimanche sur Afrique Today tous les dimanches à partir de 4h. Une émission présentée par Coach Fofo. Parlons du sport. Vous pouvez nous regarder sur www.afriquetoday.com, sur Instagram, sur YouTube, et sur Twitter et aussi sur Smart TV. Oui, nous avons la chance de recevoir le icon, le grand nom, le titre, le coach qui est parmi nous ce soir pour nous parler du football américain, de son trajet, de son parcours de 1971 jusqu'à aujourd'hui. Et nous avons vraiment le plaisir. Mr. Phillips, it was a pleasure to have in our studio, and we thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
very
your
much,
time,
sir.
and then we, see you next time to talk about another topic. And thank you again
I
for your
appreciate
contribution in the community.
I appreciate the invitation. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you. How was it?
Yeah.
Great.
Good. Man.